that you'd walked away. From stagecoach to engine, you'll not escape their gaze, and you'll know it's your final day. Fat Tony, and the boys, they deserve to be shot in the ear. Fat Tony, and the boys, they're drinking all the buckfast and the beer. When you hear the thunder of their hooves are busting into town, you'll be wishing that you'd walked away. From stagecoach to engine, you'll not escape your fate, then you'll know it's your final day. Hear the thunder of their hooves are horsing into town, you'll be wishing that you'd walked away. From stagecoach to engine, you'll not escape their gaze, then you'll know it's your final day.
I was working in the coal mine on a long hot summer's day, when the foreman came a-callin' into me, he did say, said, boy, pack up your things, it's over, it's done. This here mine's a-closing, the deed it is done, 'cause Fat Tony took my job, came up out the shadows, no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he goes. So I headed home to meet my Maggie May. All I found was a letter, and to me it did say, Fat Tony asked to marry, it's over, it's done. And in a fit of anger I grabbed hold of my gun, 'cause Fat Tony took my wife, came up out the shadows, no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he goes. Took some years of searching, but I tracked that sucker down to the back room of a whorehouse in some godforsaken town. Said, boy, I got you dead, it's over, it's done. But he shot me in the ear with a blast of his gun, 'cause Fat Tony took my life, he came out of the shadows, no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he goes. 'Cause Fat Tony took my life, he came out of the shadows, no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he goes. 'Cause Fat Tony took my life, he came out of the shadows, no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he goes.
Fat Tony shot up in town one day. His guns were all ablaze. If you ever were to look inside his mind, you'd be lost inside the maze. He met a man while making the rounds. Fat Toby was his name. Fat Tony said he was a bit too close to set his house aflame. We boys have got an attitude, much bigger than our boots. We live on a special diet of cactus juice and roots. Fat Tony's the one, but it's a crying shame that we get so sidelined sometimes that only the dead know our names. I don't even know which boy I am. We're the boys will put you in a shallow grave. We're the boys, a coyote will eat your face. Cause I'm one of the boys, and I am one of the boys, and she is one of the boys, and that means that we're the boys, and Fat Tony he employs all the boys, all the boys, all the boys. We're the boys, wanted bandits of the West. We're the boys, put your quick draw to the test. You shot one of the boys, now you are one of the boys, and soon we will all be the boys. We're the boys, the whole planet is the boys. It's Fat Tony and the boys, and the boys. The boys. I love you, Loretta, but I'm dying. I can hear my final knell. It sounds so sweet and distant. Do you hear that wedding bell? Fat Tony and those cowardly boys have crushed our mine in two, poured salt upon our growing love before it could truly bloom.
I love you, oh Willy, but I'm dying with an aching in my heart. It's not the wound that pains me, but that we must surely part. Fat Tony's gang is gonna pay. Our love will set them aflame. And though we lay in a pool of blood, I love you all the same. And though we lay in a pool of blood, I love you all the same. I'll sing you a country song. Now it's time to meet the Outlaw Heslopi. Rossi Heslopi was his name. He rode around the hills looking for Fat Tony. Rossi Heslopi gave me hope upon the slope. Rossi Heslopi's going to save the day. Rossi Heslopi gives us hope. That's what I used to say. Well, Rossi, he wrote my obituary after Fat Tony shot me in the ear. He walks around to get his revenge. I hope that it happens someday. Rossi Heslopi, ooh, the boys.
Fat Tony has been chasing me by land, by air, and by sea. He wants to find and murder me in the first degree. I've been chased cross rivers wide, cross desert and cross gulch. I know these killers will not rest till I've been turned to mulch. I know that I have got to pay for the crimes they said I did, for writing an obituary for Billy the Kid. But there's one thing I'll never know, and this is that why
he made such a fuss when I wore his trademark hat. Yodelay, yodelay, yodelay. Last night I had a dreadful dream about my sweet Annette. She rode alongside Tony's horse, that's called Concrenet. I know that I must be brave, a cowboy faces his foes, but Fat Tony's gonna dig my grave where no one knows. Yodelay, yodelay, yodelay.
The 603 was huffing into town. 18 tons of gold was on its way to Brown. Fat Tony and the boys were waiting in the bush, but they used too much dynamite and blew the whole thing up.
It was the great train robbery and no one survived. It was the great train robbery and no one survived. It was the great train robbery and no one survived. It was the great train robbery and no one survived.
The blast was enormous, you saw it from the moon. The boys knew that they goofed because Fat Tony was turning blue. Gold bricks and engine bits were spread over 50 states, and somewhere over yonder, Rossi Heslopi finally wakes.
It was the great train robbery, no one survived. It was the great train robbery, no one survived. It was the great train robbery, no one survived. It was the great train robbery, no one survived.
Came to Rossi in a dream and told him how to find Fat Tony. Rossi, you wish to be redeemed. Here is the single path, the only. My son, it's time to cross the stream. Stop wandering and feeling lonely. And this is the point of your dream.
Dream, 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 dream.
It's time to go and find Fat Tony. And it's in Tonyland. 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 Well, now it's about the time a man has to face himself. For it's true, I've been wandering in the desert so many months, so many years, thinking about when my suffering will end. And now it's time to face my fate. I've lived too long in fearful shadow, and now Fat Tony and the boys, the time has come, our final curtain in Tonyland, 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 Tonyland. Tonyland, 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 Tonyland. The boys and the Tony. Woohoo!
I'm Rossi Heslopi, I ride to Tonyland to make my final stand, just as my God commands. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I'll make my final stand. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I'm riding on a plane with God's words in my brain. Perhaps I've gone insane. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I'm riding on a plane.
He's Rossi Heslopi, he's riding on a plane with God's words in his brain. We think he's gone insane. He's Rossi Heslopi, we think he's gone insane.
I'm Rossi Heslopi, I ride from Timbuk1 all the way to Timbuk3. I've only just begun. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I ride from Timbuk1. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I ride to Tonyland to make my final stand, just as my God commands. I'm Rossi Heslopi, I'll make my final stand.
Oh, Fat Tony's coming. He's wandering into town. He's picked you out of a lineup of your friends. He thinks that you're the one who shot his mother in the night. You don't stand a chance. Don't be afraid of what's to come. You couldn't help it. He picked you out. It's guns of dawn. Don't be afraid. Don't be late. Don't be scared. There's nothing you can do. You're going to die. You're gonna die.
Russ Heslopi moseyed into town. The townsfolk kept their eyes down to the ground. No one dared make a sound. He rolled some TNT towards a coach. Clint Eastwood and Wild Bill went up in smoke. No one spoke.
Arizona Ranger was around, saw Heslopi's poster, took it down. He swore an oath he'd make Ross pay. Hard whiskey and his big iron took their toll. He made one slip and fell straight down a hole, and now he's dead.
Ross stepped into a local honky-tonk. Then on his head he felt a mighty bonk. Floating stars in that bar. Ross was feeling woozy from the blow, but he tried hard not to let it show. He stood his ground while falling down. Fat Tony and the boys all grabbed his feet, Dragged Rossi Heslopi to the street to shoot it down.
The townsfolk kept tight lips on how this ends. Did they fight to the death or become friends? Is this the end?
Here comes Mr. Heslop with holes in his hands, a demon of the desert or a specter of the sands, an ethereal revenant that emerges from the waste. They say he's once a man, but now yours is no disgrace. Here comes Mr. Heslop with holes in his hands, a demon of the desert or a specter of the sands. Man, woman, and child slip into a state of fear. As he continues his approach, things start getting weird. Here comes Mr. Heslop with holes in his hands, a demon of the desert or a specter of the sands, a ghostly shadow in the night, a fearful shape. The young, the old, the wretched become so afraid. Here comes Mr. Heslop with holes in his hands, a demon of the desert or a specter of the sands. The ghost of old Heslop is back again tonight. The folks around this town are dying to stay out of sight. Here comes Mr. Heslop with holes in his hands, a demon of the desert or a specter of the sands. The streets become empty when he wanders into town. Reality itself begins to change when he's around. 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 Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. Fat Tony and the boys are going away. Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. There'll be a hoedown in Tonyland today. Rossi Heslopi gave us hope upon the slope, but it didn't save Loretta or young Will. From Timbuk 1 to Timbuk 3, coyotes give their chase. If they don't in your face, Fat Tony will. Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. Heslopi heard God say he'd be redeemed. Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. He cried himself to sleep before the dream. When you hear the sound of Tony's voice declaring he's the one, then you know you should get off the train. With the holes in Rossi's hands, he's the devil of the sands, and we think that he's gone insane. Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. He's picked you from a lineup of your friends. Fat Tony, Fat Tony, Fat Tony and the boys. And the townsfolk will not say how it ends. We have been the Neills of Steele, and we hope that you will feel that we've told you everything you need to know. If there's something we forgot, then perhaps we will be shot. So now it is time for us to go.
You have been listening to Fat Tony and the Boys, featuring Rossi Heslopi.